What up, everybody? Hope you are having a fantastic day. Grant Wise here, and I'm excited today to teach you how to build a sales process. This is a very simple step, and if Carly and Dylan could admit people as I'm talking, this is a very simple thing that you can do to increase your sales. And it doesn't require you to buy more leads, doesn't require you to get more tools, doesn't require you to do literally anything outside of documenting your sales process. One of the biggest mistakes I see is agents only follow up based on what is in here. I got to call the lead. I got to text the lead. Oh, I got to follow up with Joey. Oh, I got to text Susan. Like, one of the most flawed systems that any salesperson could have. So that's not a knock on you. It's a knock on anybody that does not document their sales process. One of the number one ways to get out of the sales process is to document it. Because if you know what works really well and you can hand this little manual for converting leads over to somebody else and they know step by step exactly what to do, you can get out of the sales process as fast as you would possibly like. Oh, also, nobody is immune. Nobody gets a free pass. Nobody gets to skip this step. This is the most important part of sales, is understanding what steps you got to take to convert. I myself, we launched the newest version of Whitley in October. I just got out of a 2-month stint of being on the phone, of being in the sales process, of redefining what it meant, and redocumenting how it worked. Understanding this part. I spent 2 months, 8 hours a day of sales. I'm not like, if I got to do it 1,000%, you got to do it. Like, if anybody does, you got to get this part right. And it's only when you do that, then you can step aside and say, okay, after you, I'm going to teach you how to do it. But I came out of a 2-month stint of being on the sales process and literally documenting everything. I know step A to Z, what it takes when we get somebody that's interested in learning more about our platform, what it takes to get them from an interested person to a paying customer. And that's what you all are trying to do today, is how do I get somebody that's interested in doing business with me to the closing table? And so today, I'm going to walk you through the process that everybody should go through to build a sales process, which is very simply a series of steps that you will take to convert the leads that you are getting. You should have a sales process for every lead source. Parts of that process can be similar, but parts of it will be different. A Zillow lead is a lot different in a lot of cases than a Facebook lead, just as an example. A referral is a different opportunity than a Facebook lead or an open house lead. So there's little nuances. My biggest battle cry throughout the next few minutes is going to be document the process. Get that stuff out of your brain and onto a piece of paper. The simple act of doing this will increase your conversion rate by 100%. I got zero doubt. The simple act of writing this stuff down and actually having a written plan to follow when you go to convert leads will help you convert one more deal per 100 leads, which is tens of thousands of dollars to you all, depending on where you get your leads from. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through and build a templated sales process, and then I'm going to show you some examples of what I feel like are really good sales processes. So as we're going through this, pay attention. As we're going through this, take notes. As we're going through this, be prepared to execute what you put on paper. If you will do this, you will close more business. It's unquestionable. Nobody is going to watch this training, write their sales process down, stick to it, and close less business. I guarantee it, or I'll give you your money back for coming and spending your time here. I know you paid nothing to get here, but you get my point. You must have this in your business. It's one of the reasons people do not convert at a high level, and it's so easily fixed. So let's dive into this. So, all right, everybody can see my screen. You're going to start with a blank sheet of paper. So if you got a blank sheet of paper in front of you, we're on the same page. We're doing the right things. What you first want to do is you want to title this. So I'm going to go in the center of the screen, and I'm going to put process for converting Facebook leads. And at any time throughout this, you have questions, please, I want you to engage. Just ask questions in the chat, or feel free to raise your hand and I will call on you so that I can field your questions. Not wake up at 3 a.m. realizing what you forgot to do. Yes. And then, so first thing is a title, and then we want to summarize it. These are the steps we will take to convert leads from Facebook. Obviously, I'm simplifying this, but I like to start any document with a decent title so that everybody understands what it is. And then I like to summarize it so they know what this is for. So this is my process for converting Facebook leads, and a summary. This is a series of steps we'll take to convert leads from Facebook ads. Okay. Sorry. So what you want to do when you're creating a process like this, it's literally just a series of steps. Okay, so if I were to go back over here, step 1. Boom, that's it. Step 1, what is the action that will trigger all of the following steps? Well, step 1 is lead comes into blank CRM, come on, from Facebook ads. Okay, so lead comes into the CRM. That's step 1. Step 2, lead will be routed to proper person on team via email and text. Okay, that's step 2. Simple stuff. Okay, step 3, text lead script for text. So first action item is, well, I'm going to text the lead. I got to text them so that, whatever. So whatever my script for the text is what you should write right here. So I'm actually going to write in a script. So a script we use sometimes is this first name another script we use can be how many bedrooms are you looking for? I cannot type today, guys. I'm so sorry. How many bedrooms are you looking for? We'll just start with that. So first thing that we want to do is we want to document not only the action that is being taken, but we want to as well document the script that we are going to be using throughout the process. Now, second step, call the lead. Okay, simple. We're just writing down the action we got to take. Actually, I'm going to put email the lead. And then I'm going to put, this can get kind of long, so I'm just going to put script for email. In a lot of cases, you guys have automations that you can use, or you have automated emails that are already typed up, but you have some form of script that you go by. What I'm creating right here seems overly simplistic. I get that. That's the point. A lot of people aren't closing deals because they don't have this process documented for themselves. And then what happens is they say, well, I'm going to bring somebody else in to do it. And that person doesn't have this document. So they don't even know what to do. And that's a huge reason that buyers agents, ISAs, all of these people aren't closing deals at a high levels, because nobody knows what to do. And I know this seems really simple. Warren Buffett said, build your company so that it could be ran by a monkey, because hopefully one day it will be. What he meant was make your business so easy to run that anybody could do it. That's what I hope that this process will do. So, okay, we email the lead. We got our script in there. Then we're going to call the lead. Here's my phone script, if you use one of those. And then, hey, if lead does not answer, do not leave voicemail on first call. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the lead on social media with the provided email and or phone number. Okay, I'm going to use their contact information. I'm actually going to go look up their profile. If I can find them, I'm going to send them a friend request, or I'm going to follow them on Instagram. If they accept request or follow back, send DM. Script for DM. DM is a direct message. Okay. What we're doing here, guys, is we're listing the steps. That's all we're doing. That's all a sales process is. That's all any process is a series of steps that somebody will take to do a certain goal or a certain thing. With sales, you want to have every step of this process documented. So lead comes into blank CRM, whatever CRM, the name of your CRM is. Lead will be routed to the proper person by a team or email, on team by email or text. The first thing we want to do is we want to text the lead. We got the scripts. The next thing we want to do is email the lead. We got the scripts. We got to call the lead. We want the scripts. And then find the lead on social media. If, what I like to put here is if no response, wait 24 hours and repeat. Or we won't do that. Wait 24 hours and send video follow-up text. Script for video. So now I'm going to pull out my phone. I'm going to send this person a 5 to 10 second quick follow-up text, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second. How many of you can just literally nod your head. How many of you get what we're doing right here? We're just creating a step-by-step process. That's it. Like, we're not doing anything more complex than that. How many of you, by show of hands, have this document that exists in your business today? Okay, I don't see one person. That's great. That's why you're here. I would assume that's why you're here. How many of you, by show of hands, wish you were converting more business? Paul Mitchell raised the hand. Cohen raised the hand. Everybody's raising the hand. Of course. Today, during this training, right now, if you create this document, you will start converting more business. What's happening right now is you got leads coming into the business and you have no systems that are allowing you to effectively follow up with these people. You have everything happening in your brain. And so you say, well, I got to call the lead, text the lead. If nothing happens, I'm moving on to the next person because there's no way you're going to remember to do that. And hey, guess what? How many of you also have an entire business to run? You got to meet clients. You got to do contracts, appraisals, inspections. You got to do all this other work. Show of hands. 100%. How on earth do you feel like you are talented enough to get by without some of these things? This is I'm not trying to chastise you. I'm just saying I can't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. There's no way. No way. Having this process sometimes isn't even enough, but without it, you're doomed. Okay? So what you get is what we're doing. I see that. I see that everybody's got that. I want to show you another example of a good template. This is another templated sales process for a client that we have who has Follow-Up Boss. Lead comes into Follow-Up Boss. What we did that was different about this sales process is we categorized things between things that could be done by automation and things that needed to be manually done. But the whole process is documented. So we say, hey, lead comes in, they enter a certain automation, they get a simple text, it's automated, they're added to a remarketing campaign in Whitley, video 1, 2, 3 go out, lead routed to team member after these steps are taking place, and then manually, okay, somebody's got to make a phone call, somebody's got to connect with the lead on Facebook, somebody's got to contact after 24 hours or send some type of follow-up. This is another template that we helped build where now this user knows step by step by step exactly what to do the first 20 hours when a lead comes in, and knows exactly what is being done for them through automation and Follow-Up Boss. So this is another good example of an automation. But I have one client that we've coached recently that took this to an extreme and has agreed to allow me to share this template with you. And here it is. This is very well done because they've gone through and they've added a lot of the scripts. But buyer lead from the Facebook Homes List ad. Okay, so overview, lead source, target audience, platforms to utilize, the objective, and then the follow-up process. So we start to document that follow-up process. Lead comes in, Follow-Up Boss, DS online. This is just talking about the action plan that they're added to. And this goes through the steps, literally step by step by step of what somebody is going to do when they're trying to convert this lead. Also provides scripts and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so what I want to do, and then if no contact is made, day one, confirm, call task, no time frame, EST, blah, 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 and then it just continues to let people know what automations that they're going through. So what I want to do is, before I kind of continue, I want to open this up for questions because I'm sure people are maybe have some questions about this. So if you have a question, feel free just to unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand and I will unmute you so you can ask that. If you do, we've got a few people on here, we may have a question or two. Joe, what you got?
Well, I'm doing a task similar to this that I probably need to automate better through Whitley's channel, but Kim and Sarah have been helping me. I've gotten a lot of response on a Facebook ad I put out about buyer mistakes. And I have a really nice email that follows up with just, a pamphlet. But the first time I did it, it was too much information. So I decided I need to send, like you've done before, email on day one. It's kind of a slight, here I am, this is what you asked for. Let me know if I can be of help. Wait 2 days. Then I send a second email that says, hey, did you get it? And I just want to make sure, hey, here's some references on me. So it's a little bit more. And do you mind if I give you a call to answer any of your questions? So I need to automate that probably better. But I find it's hard even after that to get, even if I got their phone call, for them to pick up the phone and talk to me. And I'll, like you say, I won't leave a message. I'll try to text them. But getting to that phone call before they pick up the phone has been, the next step. And I always say, hey, no pressure. I'm just here to help and serve. Let me just answer your questions. So the big part is getting on the phone with them.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is that you're in the process of building something like this and you're continually hitting a wall where you're struggling to get people to jump on the phone with you. Is that right? How many attempts are you making? How many emails, how many texts, how many calls do you have lined up for those people? Or does it change? Is it variable?
Well, typically I'm just sending out 2 emails 2 days apart. Then I am trying to call them, and I will well, if I get no answer, I hang up. I've learned to call them right back again and hang up. And then I text them, hey, is this Bob? They're like, oh, this may be somebody important. That's my technique, but often even that doesn't get a response. And then I have wait a couple of days and I'll send my third email that says, I've been trying to reach you. Just want to make sure you got this. Can we talk? You know, and then at that point, it kind of just died.
How many emails are in an automation that will follow up with them long-term?
None. That's my problem, I guess. I need a better funnel.
Well, there's definitely a hole there for sure. How many texts are in place to follow up with them long-term?
None that are automated.
Okay. So one of the easiest areas that we could improve there is long-term follow-up and nurture. So there's the initial steps that we take. I don't recommend past 2 to 3 days that you spend much more of your like manual time trying to follow up with a lead. But I highly recommend that those people go into an automation that will follow up with them for you long-term. Because there's countless stories, especially in the Whitley group, of people that leads didn't really respond the first few days, but long-term, because those automations were in place, they were able to convert them. Sometimes that was months, sometimes it was years. So one of the initial things that I would encourage you to do is, hey, get a long-term automation in place, both email and text, so that if you're not getting a lot of responses initially, there's a fail-safe. There's something that those people are going to fall back into that will communicate with them long-term. So that's a massive priority for you, is to make sure that's happening. Second thing is to make sure that the video remarketing element is in place, because that's one extra place that those people will be seeing you every day is with the video content. One of the things I want to point out is that as business professionals, we tend to express that professionalism in the way that we communicate with new leads. And what I mean by that is, as an example, if a lead comes in, you may say, may send them a text, it may even be automated. Hey, Julie, this is so-and-so real estate agent with so-and-so brokerage and blah, 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 blah. Literally, when you get your phone, when somebody gets a text from you, it looks like this huge blob on their phone screen, right? And what's happening is you're giving them too much information. You're making their brain work too hard, and so they just shut down. This is an area where I'm an adamant or a huge advocate for throwing all professionalism out the window. And I know that sounds countercultural to what maybe you feel like you are, which is a professional. I'm not saying don't be professional. I'm saying throw professionalism out the window, because it does not work. You got to understand, like, you're one of 9 competing for this person's attention. Statistically, the average lead is shared with 9 other people, 9 other agents. All of you are sending the same messages. They may not be the same, but they look the same. They're these big blobs on somebody's phone screen. They're very professional. I am a huge advocate for throwing all professionalism out the window and talking to my prospective clients like I talk to my friends. Short form text with short form words. What I mean is, like, thanks is usually THX, or yes is Y, or thumbs up. Like my friends actually get kind of annoyed with me because they'll write me books and I'll say K back. But my point is like, we want to have really short messages that are engaging. I lean towards questions. So if I've got automations that are built out, the initial messages sometimes say, like, is this Bob? And I get a ton of success. I have a ton of success with that. But sometimes they're a little bit different. We see a lot of success. We had man, I cannot remember who the presenter was. We had a speaker in here that was teaching sales processes once. And he gave us a hack and said, how many bedrooms are you looking for? That's where that message came up. Because they literally just have to hit the number 3 and send. That's two clicks. They don't know you, but you asked them a question. They just opted in for information about houses. How many bedrooms do you want? Follow up. How many bathrooms do you want? Follow up. What neighborhood do you want? Follow up. What price point are you looking at? We want to ask really good questions that get people hooked into conversation with us. And you will see as you start to do that, the conversations will naturally go longer, leading to more of a phone conversation. That said, and I'm not trying to run away from the phone. I think business is done on the phone without question. People don't want to talk on the phone. People want to interact via text. They want to interact on social media, which is why we see so much success in finding people on social media and connecting with them, following them, liking their stuff, commenting on their stuff. You want to become a part of these people's ecosystem, and their world is here. It's on the phone socially. I can have 15 conversations at once. I do not have to talk to you on the phone to do that. And so one of the things we want to make sure that we're being aware of is the times we're living in. Everything leads to the phone. It leads to some form of appointment, whether it's over the phone or it's a virtual Zoom or you're meeting in person. But the work that we do to get there is going to look different. So, Joe, I would test throwing a little bit of the professionalism out of the window and going more towards radically short form messaging and not being so nice. I know that sounds funny, but you seem like a really nice guy. What I'm not a fan of is submitting control of a conversation over to somebody else. So what you said is, I'm just here to help. Let me know if you have any questions. What you just told me is, okay, great. I don't need to talk to you anymore. That's what I'm getting back is, hey, let me know. Okay, great. I'll let you know. And then if you follow back up with me, Joe, excuse me, time out. You told me to let you know. I haven't let you know yet, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, you've put the ball in my court to make the decision. And if we're in a sales conversation, I can never, I got Dylan on here. Dylan, we go through sales training every month, every Friday. He can attest to this. I refuse to submit control of the conversation to anybody else. Not because I'm a jerk, because if I maintain control of the conversation, I get to steer the ship, not you. So we don't want to let go of that. I get being nice and professional, but this is a different game that we're playing. So Joe, I would change the strategy a little bit. And when you're asking questions, ask questions that kind of scratch that immediate itch, and don't let go of control of the conversation. Don't say things like, let me know if you need anything, or just let me know if you need help, or I'm here if you need me. What you're doing is you're putting yourself on a shelf for the person. Shift it to more immediate action-oriented type questions. Don't ever say, let me know if you need any help, or just call me if you need me, or just text me, or whatever. Be a little bit more, I don't want to say it, what's the right word?
Assertive.
Assertive, yeah.
Well,
be a little bit more assertive with those things.
And I hear you. One of the things I say in that second email on the second day is I tell a little bit more about myself. And did they get this? You know, did they get the? Some people say I never got it. So I say I'm just trying to make sure you got it. Then I put in a bold line in the next paragraph down and say, may I ask you a favor? I'd like to call you later this week just to confirm and talk over the issues that you may have with this. So I'm letting them know I'm going to call them. But I kind of you mind if I call you, but I'm going to call you.
Right. You're still asking for permission. Just ask for forgiveness. I guess that's my main point.
All right.
I'll call you later
this week to confirm it. All
right. Yeah, potentially. Like I said, you're being very nice, like, and cordial, it sounds like, in your communications. I would take some of that out. I know that sounds a little like countercultural and counter professional, but what we want to do is we want to maintain control of the conversation and maintain control of the process. You don't need to warn them, because if you tell me you're going to call me and I don't want to talk to you, it's like, okay, do not answer. I wouldn't jump into some of that. So I would I would shift some of that communication strategy to take the long form messages out completely, break it up into multiple messages, and in your short form communication, treat these people kind of like more so your friends or family, like close knit friends and family, like how you would actually talk to those people. And you'll see a huge difference in your response rates, especially with your text messages. And if you'll do the same on social media, you'll see a huge shift there. Something we all have to remember, guys, is that if we're getting these leads from Facebook, we'll probably get a ton of interaction from them on Facebook. Do not underestimate the power of sending that person a friend request, a DM, liking their stuff, and starting to comment on their stuff. Because what happens is you start to merge your ecosystems. It's like I'm a part of your world. I'm going to interact with you. I'm going to become your friend. I could literally not even program a single email or text and probably still convert at a very high rate because I would be socially engaged with them. And so that's something to really, really remember, is that your prospecting time can be 100% social. Because if these leads came from social media, they would likely interact with you on social media. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to be too verbal here, but
no, you're good.
So the thing, because I'm kind of old school, but what I've learned is I can't have friends on my professional page. I can only make friends on my personal page. And I'm not sure I want these people to be friends on my personal page and all my other friends that are, personal friends. I can't friend them on my realtor page. So I've hesitated friending people that, if they'll like my Facebook, if they'll like my realtor page, that's fine, but I don't friend them. Am I being wrong about that?
I don't say that you necessarily are being wrong about it. Would you say that a lot of your clients end up becoming good friends, good relationships?
One or two do, but I don't put them in the same personal category so much. Yeah, they.
Do you think that if they did, you maybe get more referrals out of that database than if you had more good relationships, more good contacts with those people?
Well, I put them on a monthly contact process of information and a particular magazine that's really classy that comes out once a quarter. So I'm making those touches, but yeah, I don't want them to see my party that I had at my house on Friday night,
Yeah. What I'm saying, and not what I'm saying, what I'm suggesting is that one of the reasons that I've been able to make a lot of connections in the industry, speak on a lot of stages in the industry, be on a lot of podcasts, get a lot of people on our podcast. One of the reasons I've been able to really grow is because I've been very intentional about making friends with everybody I possibly can, including the clients, which is why I still answer all my DMs. That's why I still answer all my messages. It's why I friend request all of our clients and prospects. That intentionality has been really powerful, really profound, because people have got to come witness me, my parties, my life, my stuff, my kids, my things going on. And there's a lot of real power there. So you always got to do you. I mean, you're going to find a sweet spot. But what I would say is, I know you've admitted you're a little old school. Let's just that's there for us. Let's set it aside for a little while and let's test some other stuff. Because I think that if you could maybe just pivot and take the wall down a little bit, that you may find there's a lot more success in that database that you've got with actually having more of a personal connection than you maybe have traditionally. Okay, next question we got coming in. What would you say instead of "let me know if you need something"? It's RADO. I'm going to say radio. I don't know if that's how you say that, but feel free to unmute yourself if you want. I would love to have an interaction with you about this. It depends. There's got to be a little bit of context there, but my main point in trying to convert leads is that I don't want to let go of control of the conversation. So I'm always asking questions that require answers. I'm always setting timelines or making commitments. I don't ever say, let me know if you want to connect. I say, when are we going to connect? It's like Tuesday at 10 better, or Wednesday at 1. Like I'm always being extremely intentional about that next step in the conversation, or that next part of the conversation, as opposed to, just leaving it open-ended. For me, if we're interacting, everything has a deadline. Everything has a moment in time where we're going to be forced to have another interaction. And the reason is because typically people forget. It's the microwave effect. They're thinking about it while they have the problem. As soon as they take that problem out of the microwave, they're going to be on to something else. And so we want to be extremely intentional about closing all those loops, about setting deadlines and making sure that you're getting some form of commitment. And there's a lot of sales psychology in micro commitments. If you can get people to agree with you a lot, say yes to you a lot, make commitments to you a lot, you would be shocked how much easier it is to close a deal. But that's really my thought and thesis on it. Based on our experience, we're never allowing the open-endedness. And sometimes it upsets people. I don't care. I'm not submitting control of the conversation because somebody's feelings got hurt. And I'm okay with the ramifications of that. Sometimes people get upset with me. It's okay. I got a text yesterday. We had a meeting scheduled, and somebody, I text to confirm, they said, I am way too poor to use your services. That was the response. And I chuckled and said, well, we don't need to meet about Whitley. Can we meet about your mindset? And their response was, wow, that was really bold. Like a nice way of saying, wow, you are an asshole. My point wasn't to upset them. My point was to keep the conversation going. I wanted to get some form of reaction. I didn't care what type of reaction. Dylan, I've had Dylan, and I know he's on here. He's laughing. He's been on sales training, call. He's laughed his ass off time and time and time again at my responses and rebuttals when people say stuff, because I just want the reaction to keep the conversation going. I'm not so worried about your feelings or if it upsets you, because at the end of the day, typically it's all just a response. It's all just some form of communication. And if a deal is dead, what's it matter? Like, if somebody's not going to talk to me anyway, why not see if I can say one more thing that's going to get them to continue going on the conversation? And Dylan's putting in the comments, barking on a call. I've done some weird stuff on the phone to get people to keep talking to me, but it works. I'm not telling you guys to bark at people or to make snarky responses like I do. My main point is we got to start treating people like friends and family. And what that typically means is that we're throwing the professional stuff to the side, because right now it's not working for anybody. It's not just y'all sitting here on this call that don't even have some of these processes in place. It's everybody in the industry is struggling because people won't answer the calls. Nobody's responding to the text. Nobody's opening the emails. And when your stuff looks too salesy, it's not going to get a response, which is why the short form stuff works, which is why the misspelled words works, which is why the grammatical errors works. A lot of people are too afraid to look bad. I intentionally make those mistakes because people know one thing, that it's a real person talking. Because I actually did this once. I had an automation that sent an automated text, and it intentionally misspelled a word in the first line of the text. And then I had an auto message that auto corrected the intentionally misspelled word. So it actually legitimately looked like they were getting a text from somebody that had misspelled something and then was correcting it. But it was all set up through automation. I know these are little bitty tips and tricks and stuff like that, but my point is like, we got to throw the professionalism out the window, because we are living in a society right now that is not very professional. The suits have come off. The ties have been put away. we all want connection, right? We want to actually have conversations. We want real communication. And these sales processes are crucial. And then you're backfilling them with scripts that are really important to understand what's going to work, what's not going to work. Guys, look, I legitimately just did spend the last 2 months of my time 8 hours a day on the phones. And the only reason I did that was so that I could relearn what was going to be required to sell the products and services that we offer. Now I have almost a master's degree in understanding why people want to sign up for Whitley. And that gives me a lot of power, but it allows me to create a lot of leverage. You might ask, Grant, why did you spend 8 hours a day, 21 days a month? Let's see, that's 168 hours times 2. That's 336 hours I've spent on the phone in the last 2 to 3 months, relearning how to sell what it is that we've got because it's somewhat new. Now, yes, I did spend all that time, but this is what all of you are trying to get to. That allowed me to create systems so that I don't have to spend that time again. Now, Dylan on the call now the next person and the next person, the team that we start to build to sell our products and services, they're not walking in wondering what to do. I'm not having to go hire some expert. I'm not having to do any of that stuff. I'm going to walk them in the door and say, step 1, you're going to learn this. Step 2, you're going to learn this. Step 3, you're going to learn this. Step 4, you're going to learn this. Oh, by the way, here's 30 hours of pre-recorded conversations. You need to listen to all of these so that you understand how the call flows, what happens, all that kind of stuff. I'm not letting people walk into my business and guess. They're walking into a system that works. And sometimes we try to build a system around people that don't work. And that's just the biggest mistake I'm seeing. So my challenge to you is to document this process. In the beginning of this, I showed you how to create a system. A documented sales process. It's no more complex than pulling out a Word document and just going step by step what it is that you do. Now I want you to take that document and spend the next month or 2 months perfecting it, making tweaks, making adjustments, making optimizations. And when you get that thing working, just working. I know it's going to work every time we do this. I know that by the 3rd message, people are going to do this. When you get it dialed, then and only then we can pass that to somebody else and you can get out of the way and let them do it better. Okay. So that's the goal. Can you pull up the templates again? Yes, they will be in the recording of this as well. And we will make sure I will share this template as well in the notes of this so that people can access it. But what we want to do, guys, again, is we want to create this sales process. This would take you no more than 30 minutes to do, by the way, if you haven't already done it just as we've been on the call. Take this. Now you have a document. Now we want to perfect it. Okay? Want to make sure that everything's built. If we have a CRM, that the automations are in place. If we have any other tools that we need, that everything's done, then we want to spend a month perfecting it. Spend 2 months perfecting it. Once you have it perfected, you're converting 3 to 5% of the leads you generate, which is near perfect. Then you can pass that system to another person, and then you can just spend your time training that person. And you're going to get to a point where you can step out of the sales process altogether, but you can't do that until you know what works and what works well. And then I'm going to show you the last thing. If you have a Whitley account, we built this really cool feature for you. Give me just 1 second here. If you have a Whitley account, you can go into drip campaigns and you can go right here to sales flows. So there's some pre-templated sales flows that are already in here, already built out like this. And then you can go in here and build your own. And so what we did is we took all these steps that we are building right here, and we literally just created the sales flow process. So, you can pre-program these steps. So when you go into a contact that you've been following up with, say this person right here, you can assign them a sales flow. Let's use a clone. Well, let's use anyone. Anyway, you can assign them, and then it'll show the details of what you're supposed to do, what actions you're supposed to take. I wish there was a better one in here. And then once you've done that, you can check that the box has been done. And so as you move through your contacts, you can consistently check the boxes. And so you can keep a really organized kind of ledger or register of what actions you've taken with each contact. So if you have a Whitley account, you can actually build out those sales flows and those sales flow tasks inside of your Whitley account. And then you can assign those tasks to contacts as they come in from different leads. So then you can keep track of your sales process, because it's one thing to create it, but then it's another thing to like, how do I stay organized with all the follow-up? So you can do that inside of your Whitley account. And if you are curious how to do that, I think you can go to how to use Whitley and then go to the contact section. And there should be, there's a how-to section for how to program those sales flows. So I would love to answer any last questions that you guys might have before we pop off here. I know we're almost out of time. And I would love to know, please hit me in the chat. Was this a valuable conversation for you today? I know this is a huge thing in everybody's business, but in the chat specifically, what was your biggest takeaway from this conversation today? I know that's not a question I've asked in other trainings. But please, what was your biggest takeaway? Being real, not being salesy. It's a huge takeaway. Mark, I'm responding to you right now. Dylan at Whitley.net. Yeah, guys, if you have any questions or you want to get some better strategy, you can email me. You can email Dylan. I know somebody that just put that in there. Or you can go to Whitley.net and just get a demo and we can talk. Be real, don't be salesy. That's huge. People don't know what they don't know. It's our job to direct the conversation. Love it, love it, love it. Keep control of the process and conversations. Big, 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 big. My processes need to be documented. I will never be able to scale my business if I can't pass things off to others. That's huge. Don't give up in the don't give up the conversation to clients. Yes. Send them a video via text. Friend them on Facebook. That's huge. Awesome training. Glad you loved it. Yes, very valuable. Biggest takeaway is being real. I tend to want to be more formal. Totally understand. Mark, I sent you my email. It's grant@whitley.net. If you have questions about the Whitley platform, you can email me or Dylan at whitley.net, WITLY.net. I really appreciate you all for jumping on here. There's going to be a recording. It'll probably be available by tomorrow if you want to rewatch some things. This is the most important part. You know, there's generating leads and then there's converting those leads. And I know that Whitley, as a company, we teach you a lot of really cool things that you can do from a remarketing standpoint to convert and increase your conversion. But ultimately, if we don't get these people to some form of phone appointment, Zoom appointment, real appointment, whatever, it's going to be really hard to close business. And if you can really master this process, the process of closing business, the process of closing deals, and document it when you do it, you can pass it off to somebody else. I know most of you don't want to spend your time following up with people. Like, I understand, I totally get it. But you got to have something. You got to have a literally an instruction manual, just like you got to have it for a barbecue grill. You got to have it for a cake. I got an instruction manual with this Yeti. I bought a new camera for podcasts. Oh, look, with an instruction manual. Like anything you buy comes with an instruction manual. This is the most important part of your business from a sales standpoint. You got to give somebody an instruction manual that you know works and works well. So I would encourage you to build that for yourself. Spend the time optimizing it. I just spent 2 months, 336 hours working on documenting our sales process. The only reason I did that is so I could fire myself. I didn't go into that thinking I'm going to be selling this stuff forever. I went into that thinking I got a deadline to fire myself in 60 to 90 days. Boom, it's time to go. And so I went to work. So change the mindset a little bit. I'm only going to do this for a little bit until I master it, and then I'm going to pass it off to somebody else. And you'll be amazed at how much business you start to pull in because you had this stuff written down. This single act of writing it down, just a single act of writing it down, will help you close more business. But if you'll spend the time optimizing it with the intention to hire somebody else to do it, you'll be amazed. Your ISAs, your VAs, your buyers agents, anybody you bring into that role will be able to take it and run with it because you documented the process. And I totally get why maybe you haven't wanted to spend the time, but it's important. It's so important. And it's the key. Like it really is the key to getting to another level in sales, is being able to convert at a high level. And then once you can get other people to do it, there's no limits, because then you can get a second person and a third person and a fourth person. You just build a machine that you feed. So I appreciate you all so much. I'm pumped that you got a lot of value here today. We'll have the recordings coming out soon. I think we've got some other really fun trainings lined up in the next couple of weeks. I'm excited to keep spending more and more time with you guys. If there's anything I can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I'll see you soon. Peace.